I read this morning that there's going to be a blizzard of new policy initiatives coming out next week from Downing Street, reminiscent of Operation Big Dog that was designed to save Boris Johnson. But moving away from the government itself onto Parliament more generally, how do you think the public mood is going to react to this 5.5% pay rise for MPs in a cost of living crisis?
Well, I think that right now nobody in the public is going to welcome this or even accept it as a reasonable sum. But I'm one of the very rare people who think that members of Parliament are slightly underpaid, and that this wrangle over their salaries each year is unseemly, and that there is a considerable expense involved in being a member of Parliament, much of which comes out of their pockets. It isn't paid for in the expenses, the lavish expenses that everyone thinks are being dished out to MPs after the floating duck house and the moat and all the rest of it. I do think that by comparison with many parliaments around the world, members of this one are not excessively well paid.
Well, Trevor, one of the things we've been discussing on the show today is this idea of linking MPs' pay to economic growth. That's something that's performance-related pay, isn't it? If you've put the economy into recession, which is arguably a failure of politics, it certainly is a failure of your duty to people to try and grow the economy. MPs should have a pay cut. Do you think that's something that any member of Parliament beyond me would go for?
I very much doubt it. And I'm not sure, actually, that governments dictate growth. I think that they have a large role to play. But, I mean, it's interesting that where there's been a complete absence of government, for instance, in Belgium for, I think, a couple of years, the economy did rather well without them meddling. So maybe the government should be rewarded. I just think that a fair pay for the level of activity that many MPs take upon themselves should be determined by the independent panel and accepted and not meddled with by the government of the day. And I think that this dates back to the era of Margaret Thatcher, who felt impelled to intervene and cut the level of pay rises below what was being recommended.